English shorthand dictation ready start. I am glad to welcome you to this conference, the main initiative for calling, which belongs to my friend and colleague when he first suggested to me that there should be a meeting of vice chancellors and others to consider how we can improve agricultural education in the country. I readily agreed. There is perhaps no single issue which is of greater importance for the future well being of our country. A hard fact which we must face is that the economic life of India is not properly balanced between agriculture and industry. Though there has been considerable development in industry in India in the last 50 years, we cannot by any means call India an industrial country. It is still agricultural, and the vast majority of our people depend on agriculture for their livelihood. In fact, curious as it may seem, the pressure on the land has on the whole been increasing in spite of the growth of our industries. It is therefore all the more regrettable that we cannot produce enough food even to meet our requirements. Roughly 80% of our people are in some way or the other connected with the land, and yet we have to depend upon foreign countries to get enough food for our people. In sharp contrast, we find that the USA, where not even one fifth of the people work on the land, not only produces all its food but exports vast quantities to other parts of the world. We must therefore ask ourselves the reason why, with 4/5 of our people on the land, we are still deficit in food supply, whereas other countries which do not use even 1/5 of their manpower for the production of food are surplus areas. A searching inquiry into this problem is more necessary as our position has not always been so bad as it is today. Until some years ago, we have in fact been exporting wheat and other food grains, but since 1983 we seem to be suffering from a perpetual shortage. You all know about the efforts of the governments both at the center and the states to increase the production of food through the Grow More Food campaign. I think you will all agree that the results have not been commensurate with our efforts in this regard as such. We know that the average yield of our land is one of the poorest in the world, and this is so in spite of the fact that the quality of our soil is perhaps second to none. The only explanation is that our methods of agriculture are not fully effective. We must therefore think in terms of a change in our agricultural methods. This can be achieved only if our agricultural education is thoroughly recast. I think you will all agree that the present system of agricultural education in India is not satisfactory. It has not proved adequate even in normal times. During an emergency like the present, its shortcomings are only too apparent. most of our universities have some provision for agricultural education, but the education is mainly theoretical, so that the results we could expect from the application of science to agriculture do not materialize. Our agricultural graduates are fit for almost everything except becoming agriculturists themselves. Our present agricultural education is defective because it lacks adequate practical basis. An even greater defect is that agricultural education is not an essential part of the general education of the country. Education is intended to develop the potential abilities of the individual in the context of the requirements of society. In a country like India, where agriculture is not only the main profession but the dominant way of life, it is necessary that agriculture must enter intimately into every aspect of general education. We are now planning to transform the system of our primary education by converting it into basic education. Gandhiji, with the insight of a genius, saw that if education is to be creative and real for millions of our people, it must seek to satisfy their basic requirements of food and clothing. Intellectual development can be adequate and satisfactory only in the context of satisfying these two basic needs. Our general education, especially in the earlier stages, must therefore give a greater importance to the theory and practice of agriculture. I have for some time been considering the question of having some kind of conscription by which all students in our colleges and universities would be compelled to work for a period in fields and factories. I have, however, come to the conclusion that for various reasons this cannot be immediately done. In Western countries, the labor of young people has been effectively and usefully employed, as the problem of these countries is primarily one of shortage of labor. In our country, if there is an excess in anything, it is that of manpower. It will not be incorrect to say that almost all Indians are underemployed. Stop.